Creativity is an instinct in all of us, right? Whether you identify as an artist, a businessman, a doctor, someone who's a teacher, it's a process of going into that space within your spirit and finding something that will touch others. I think the first time that I intentionally created a work of art that I enjoyed was actually a watercolor airplane. Around 6 or 7 years old, airplanes were these glorious tubes that could change your world. And flying from Trinidad to the United States and immigrating with my family was a very huge thing. I had an exhibition at the age of 10. I think that's what kind of birthed the really visceral thing in me as an artist, that thing where you just kind of get addicted to a process. So I seriously pursued it and entered art classes, took watercolor classes, acrylic classes, oil painting classes, and so on. In the arts, I identified what was happening within the art world, within my place in art history. That just happened to be drawing, painting, creating installations, coming up with creative concepts. Wanted to see what kind of statements I could make within this moment in time. Developed a narrative, and I just started creating. That ended up birthing a body of work that was what I called repositioning the canvas. I created these artworks that were inverted images. You walk up to the painting, you turn the painting upside down, and you see a whole nother image. And the whole goal of that was to basically eliminate those invisible boundary lines between the viewer and the painting, where if you're in a gallery, you're not allowed to touch that painting. You're not allowed to interact with the piece. You're able to appreciate it and watch it, but I wanted to kind of push that boundary. That work, which is called The Great Emancipation, right? And during that period of time, I may have been about 26, The Great Emancipation was created out of my spiritual discovery of self. A lot of my spirituality has to do with centering myself, finding stillness in life, finding peace. I think a lot of that is knowing thyself, and a lot of that is understanding what is healthiest for you in your life, you know? So one of the results of that came with deciding not to drink. I don't drink, and that is strictly off because of the decision to serve my temple. A few years ago, I decided to really dig deep into what it means to be an authentic creator, what it means to, as I'm going through this whole process of creating artwork, am I being genuine? Am I being authentic? I'm making money now in the arts, but I'm not really making artwork that is feeding my spirit daily. I took a step back and started investigating what in this community could I do to impact the art market? What could I do to impact artists? I looked around and realized technology was one of the biggest things in our era. And I tried to figure out what I could do to serve the art market, to serve individuals who were underserved. And it just so happened that I chose public artists and street artists first. These were the people who were struggling to get into art galleries. They were struggling to sell. They were struggling to find outlets and institutions that would support them. I was hoping for a way to give them a platform, and out of that intent birthed All Public Art. And very quickly, it turned from serving street artists to other artists who were gallery artists and studio artists who said, hey, we want in too. We want to be able to sell. We want access to art collectors. We want to be able to show people where we're selling our artworks. And All Public Art was creating everything that, as an artist, I knew we needed. Getting into the studio and creating in the studio, ideally for me, if I'm doing it right, if I'm authentically creating, it's really about feeling this sense of flow within myself, within my spirit. I don't consider myself strictly an artist. If I want to create a business and go into that endeavor and be creative with, you know, what that business adds to this community, I can do that. And All Public Art for me is a masterpiece. It's no different from creating a painting.